If you haven't been tested, get tested. Go get tested.
HIV testing is quick, easy, and above all, it is free. It means you will know your results in 20 minutes. If you can spend 20 minutes getting together and go out to the club, you can spend 20 minutes and getting to know your status.
And yes, they're still coming in newly diagnosed. I had 2 last week that came in. Oh, I just found out last week.
It's pretty important basically because it's my life and it can affect me in negative ways or positive ways depending on if I'm negative or positive.
Gotten away from realizing what HIV and AIDS is. We don't have the face of HIV, AIDS any longer. We look good. We're trying to look good. Doesn't look bad, died.
You get tested. Because once you know your status, everything else is going to fall into place.
I guess the most important part of being tested to me is basically just knowing my status, knowing like if I'm positive or negative.
Ended up having a seizure and was rushed to the emergency room and was diagnosed with AIDS.
Well, my mama found out when I got beat up by 4 guys on the pier. I went and got tested. We did blood work and everything like that. Found out I was positive. Then we had to do another test to see if it's a true positive.
My partner and I had went to get our blood tested at the same time. Both come back to the readings and everything. We both came back positive. Blood work done again. Anyway, they said I was negative, and the people that took the blood from me told me that probably it was a false negative.
I tested negative for 3-4 years after his death and didn't think I had any reason to suspect that I was HIV positive.
We think that I was positive about 5 or maybe between 5 and 7 years prior to that. My partner at the time was going in for a routine physical. I went with him to get his results, and when his results came back positive, we needed to right then roll up my sleeve and also get tested.
Noticed a difference in my body and my energy. Although I had a stressful job, I felt like something was wrong. So I went to the doctor for a full checkup. I was asked if I wanted an HIV test, and I said sure, knowing confidently that I probably would not be HIV positive.
And I knew right away that it was going to come back positive.
I was wrong. It came back positive, and I was blown away. But at that time, my life became very dark.
When I was diagnosed, I had 40 T cells.
My T cells were 3, and I was very sick. I had encephalitis, a brain infection, which caused me to have 4 strokes, and it was very scary. I was in the hospital for a long time, not expected to survive.
Did a bone marrow, a spinal tap on me, and let's see, we being able to find out and locate what was going wrong with me. I was in a coma for about 2.5 weeks. I couldn't tell anybody about doing anything, as far as prolonging my life. My family came in, they stepped in, and they told my doctor to, if I need to be resuscitated, to do that.
I got very sick, and my sister actually confronted me and asked me if I had AIDS.
My doctor had told my partner and my sister that if I did come out of the coma, I would be a vegetable and I wouldn't be able to care for myself, feed myself, dress myself, or nothing.
What I seem to hear is that a lot of guys that test positive, that believed that they were somehow not subject to getting HIV.
And I think that's the position that a lot of kids are in these days right now. It's the same position that I was in. Oh, that's not going to happen to me. That's for other people. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's not. Because when it happened to me, I thought, this certainly cannot happen to me. No, not me. Well, yes, me, the fierce one. I have HIV.
It was probably not that good. And having some partners that I didn't know really, I just met them and kind of hooked up. Having sex with a condom. That's basically it, really. Unprotected sex.
Being single and dating, you trust people that you're with, that you're having sexual relations with, and maybe one of them was positive, or who knows.
A lot of times has to do with a adult not knowing that their partner was positive, or lying about their own HIV status.
I think it's very important to know your status. Positive is not very fun to be, and the person to think or sit and wonder.
It's so important to know one's status and to know your status so you can be honest about it and have those honest discussions and those honest conversations when you are in the middle of needing to have those conversations, especially when you're negotiating sex.
I am in a relationship with a gentleman. We are 10 years in it, and I disclosed to him right away that I was HIV positive, and he accepted me, and he is still in my life today, and I love him very much.
Be in the right mind at all times when you're negotiating sex. And try to have a clear head about it, and really understand what your partner or partners are willing to do to help you stay that way. If you haven't been tested, get tested. Go get tested. It doesn't take any time at all. And once you are tested, get tested regularly, especially if you're negative.
I usually try to go like every 3 months, but it usually doesn't happen that way. I usually go like 6 months, then one time it was probably almost a year.
When you get tested, you learn of all the risky behaviors. There's a whole list of them. Don't think it's that easy. But once you test positive for HIV, it's a lifelong illness. It's not curable. You have it. You got it. When you go testing, if you come up negative, then you will know that certain behaviors are possibly a way of contracting HIV. Once you test positive, the world changes. It's not the same. You're not the same. I will never be the same that I was before testing positive.
I've had chlamydia before and gonorrhea. And of course I got it through having unprotected sex.
I've been treated for other STDs before HIV, and I've been treated for other STDs after testing positive.
Nobody will ever know what you and your counselor are discussing. Your privacy is protected. HIV testing is completely confidential.
When you go get tested, your counselor will tell you, will ask you, what kind of behaviors did you engage in to make you think that you might need an HIV test? Well, you're gonna say, I had unprotected sex. what is unprotected sex. Do you know? Do you really know? I don't think a lot of people really realize what unprotected sex is. I think it's a condom, but it's more than that. It's more than that.
The Army having unprotected sex with men. I guess I feel like it's alright to have unprotected sex. I guess it feels better too, if you think about it.
My risk factors were lots of sex, multiple partners, and alcohol. And combine all of those together, I wasn't always making the right decisions at the right time.
I'm a single parent of a beautiful baby boy, and I think he was 7 years old at the time, and I was living with a roommate who also had a 7-year-old child. And so I immediately disclosed to my roommate because I was afraid. I was very uneducated, didn't know if we could use the same toilet seat, the same cutlery, that sort of thing.
So instead of going out and getting drunk and having sex, it's, well, let me go have a couple of drinks and understand what I was going to be doing, and to limit my number of partners, and to have safer sex, to practice safer sex. So if there was going to be any kind of penetration, a condom was going to be used. I also began to serial sort, which means that I was only going to have sex or unprotected sex with other positive people if I wasn't in a relationship.
So I just try to share my story with people and tell them how important it is to get tested and know your status and know your health.
And if you test negative, don't think that you're done. Just learn. And go back after 3 months and listen again to your counselor. Listen to the questions that you're being asked. And if you test negative after 6 months, go back and do it again until the whole routine of what unsafe sex is all about.
So here it is. If you're HIV negative, listen to me. Stay HIV negative.
Elton John, I love you, and I love the work that you do. Keep up the good work.